Jingle bell, jingle bell rock.
The tower's lost control.
Instrument landing system is down.
Backup systems won't come up.
There's panic in the air.
This is a professional mercenary. You got the world's biggest drug dealer on his way here now. What do you need, a slide rule to figure this out?
But for police officer John McClane,
Damn it, I appreciate when I'm right.
it's just another Christmas.
You're the wrong guy in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Story of my life.
Die Harder.
Well, last year we talked about the first Die Hard and its merits as a Christmas movie, but frankly, we don't really talk enough about the other Die Hard movie that also happens to take place at Christmas, Die Hard 2, and I figured this year we should probably remedy that. It was supposed to be directed by John McTiernan, but he was committed to Hunt for Red October. Not a bad exchange, all things considered. It ended up being directed by Rennie Harlin. I don't know how we feel about that either.
He's a solid director when it comes to action, but as like a person and his personal views of what he sells, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, just hear about some of the stuff he did.
Maybe you just want to say, like, what's a misogynist look like? Just him would be a good answer to that.
Pretty much. Suffice to say, he doesn't really show much in the way of his own personal innovations with his direction of this one, because if you hadn't have told me that McTiernan didn't direct this one...
There's one thing that is Rennie Harlin, and I know it's a random fact, which is one thing, especially in the first and third Die Hard movies, is the music used. The needle drop music, which is, Beethoven in...
Ode to Joy.
Ode to Joy, and it's the Saint School Marching for the third one. Well, they wanted to do something like that for the second one when the bad guys kind of take over that church and everything, and Rennie Harlin has a Finnish song, because he's Finnish. Some national Finnish song or whatever, and they're all like not something that's recognizable off the top of the head, but that's like, I think, his little bit in that movie, which I'm come to think of it is kind of sad, but at the same time the other two are connected more because they're the brothers and they're both, the music plays during a bank robbery basically, or the money, so it makes sense not to be the same hindsight, but at the time that was his contribution. In fact.
I'd say if there is one thing about Rennie Harlin that is unfortunately distinctive for him, something I've always kind of had criticism about, is his lack of attention to detail when it comes to certain technical aspects.
He doesn't research.
He doesn't research anything. But admittedly, neither did Steven D'Souza, who was one of the writers of the original who came back to write this one. But none of them ever came back to research the intricacies of the inner workings of an airport. Or even, for that matter, certain planes. That
don't have ejection seats.
That don't have ejector seats. Or the fact that apparently grenade fuses are about 30 seconds. Or
was it the gasoline from a plane would not light the same way that you see on screen?
It would not burn that fast.
That's the suspension of disbelief, that this is not reality, and as much as physics are just out the window. I mean, you watch a Fast and Furious movies, physics don't exist in this world anymore, and you just take it as is. Same kind of thing, maybe not that crazy, but... Yeah. So I'd say there's a lot more implausible things in this one than there are in at least the first one. The third one gets a little crazy too, don't get me, but I could still slightly buy it. Yeah. Knowing not the technical side.
And they also came up with a little thing to kind of say that, this, like the explosives, probably not that realistic, but they were able to sell it on the idea that, this is a new type of weaponry.
They could sell fantasy.
Like I said, aesthetically, tonally, even the fact that of the score bears a very strong resemblance to that of Die Hard. It definitely had no problem with it actually being Die Hard 2. I'd say the other a popular criticism that's levied against this one, is that in sequel terms, nothing really pushes character development forward. It's just like another bad day for John McClane.
Well, this one especially is a bad day. Nothing changes. By the end of the movie, literally he is in the same place. Whereas at least the first one, he kind of reconciles a bit with his wife. He even, as you find in this one, he moves out to LA. So clearly as a person, he is kind of changed in some way. This one, literally, he is in the exact same place. The only thing that was kind of nice was you did see things build off of the first one. Like, he's living in LA, he's working there, he actually is really good friends with the police.
Really good friends with Al
he
Powell.
works with them, and you know, so it built off it. And I mean, he even said, didn't he even say, like, I can't believe this is happening again?
Yeah, well,
the same situation, very different, and there's some problems. There was one thing I thought of on the back end was when the bad guys are happy that there's a storm happening. It just happens to be a bad snowstorm at this time, and I'm sitting there going, why would you be happy about that? Because wouldn't that mess up your plans? Like, what if the plane bringing you man in is like, oh, there's a storm, we're going to diverge to Atlanta. That would ruin it. So why would you want a storm to happen? That's not going to make your life easier. I also argued, they do make a line saying that the Reagan airport, which is like a hop, skip, and a jump from Dulles, because this is Dulles, is like snowed in and no planes can go there. Okay, if that's snowed in, Dulles would be snowed in. Yeah. They are literally in the same city. Yeah. It doesn't, this is not...
Does not work that way.
Yeah, there's two, like, they're next door to each other. The only thing is with Reagan, it's a lot windier, so their runway's a lot shorter. They could have easily said, they're full. They have no room for any more planes. That would be fine. I would buy that. But they actually say, like, they're snowed in. And I'm like, dude, that's, like, next door. They are literally next door to each other, or like on the other side of the city, but it's the same area. It's the same city.
Yeah, whatever you're doing to your runways to keep them safe, why don't you hand some of that over? Come on, help a brother out.
Yeah,
come on.
Right. But I mean, I get it. It's to bottleneck everything into Dulles. Yeah. Which I also argue, why are you... Okay, if this is the Christmas season, because everyone's flying and all, why would you be bringing in this high-grade... this high-end drug lord, crazy whatever guy? Why would you be bringing him in to that airport? Wouldn't you like have them also go to maybe like a stronghold airport, like off-site?
Yeah, or maybe some...
I don't know, that just...
There's a lot of Air Force bases in that area. I know because I've had siblings that were stationed in some of the Air Force bases in that area. Why are you sending them into a commercial airport?
I'm going to throw down, living in Florida, hurricanes are very temperamental, but you still could see them a few days ahead. So they would have seen this snowstorm slowly coming, at least by 24 hours. Why would they go, yeah, there's a horrible snowstorm, we're going to bring this dude right in? This is the thinking way too much about it. Yeah. It's just, yeah,
so...
Sorry.
It is a flawed film. It is nowhere near as tight or as well thought out as the first film.
I think the only flaw in the first film, it's only if you're paying attention, is where did that ambulance come from?
Yeah. Especially with something like Die Hard 2, because it's in the hands of a filmmaker that's not as... that doesn't seem to really care about certain technical aspects of it. It's not as tight. It's not as well crafted of a film, but
it's still fun.
It's still a fun movie, and McClane is still a really damn good character.
It also does expand the location, not too much, but you're not stuck in just the airport. He does go off-site. That you have that great snowmobile chase, and you even get some turncoats that you don't. A guy who shows up to help out. Nope, he's with them as well. Like, you didn't have that in the first film, and it was actually kind of refreshing to have some new and interesting ideas.
Yeah, and you also had, instead of it being McClane just on his own, like he is in the first film, he actually does have different tiers of people helping him out. And a lot of them are helping him out because, because he actually has a great line where he says, no, my wife's up there. I'm the one who brought this to your attention. I'm on the playing field. And I like how there's certain people in the course of the movie who actually, some don't want anything to do with him, but then there are some who actually are helping him out.
The air traffic controller, the guy in charge, like, he's cool. He's flat out ready to go and assist in any way he could. And I mean, he was one pretty much in charge of, hey, I have to control the planes. And he wasn't pulling up with a BS. So he was with... much listening to McClane instantly.
Meanwhile, on the other hand, you've got the opposition in the form of Carmine Lorenzo, played by the man who had the wonderful honor of having the first bare ass on television, Dennis Franz.
Careful what you wish for.
Careful what you wish.
You're like, you want to see nudity? Okay.
Okay.
Didn't specify if you wanted to see it. You're going to see this.
I guess you could say he's the Dwayne Robinson character of the piece, but but because it's Dennis Franz, he's much more bigger.
He did help out though. Like by the end though, he does help out, and he actually does. He gives him a solid at the end. You know, so unlike the first one where
that guy Dwayne, keeps wanting to like try and save face and like try to debrief.
I would love to just have a little moment of what did happen, because he's clearly in the LAPD. Like, how did that guy, or did that guy get demoted or something?
Well, actually, one thing Die Hard 2 did point out is that after the incident in Nakatomi, McClane actually became something of a media celebrity because the news were just like all over him. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised that when he announced he was probably going to be coming to LA, the press were all like, "Oh, you got to hire him on. He's a good cop, he's a hero cop." And
saved lives.
And this is LA in the early 90s. LA needed hero cops.
Also, a lot of coincidences with this movie. But of course, who else is on this plane that nobody noticed? She didn't even notice for like the entire flight from LA to Washington D.C. Did not notice this guy was on the plane.
The fact that Dick Thornburg is on this plane too, and I refuse to believe that Dick Stain was just sitting comfortably at the gate in LA. Quietly.
Well, also, it was like later on that he had to move his seat because I'm like, wait, if you were in midair, where were you sitting before? And how did no one notice? I mean, it's funny, but at the same time, it's so coincidental, and he really doesn't contribute anything more than he blows the lid on what's happening, and
causes mass panic at the airport.
But that doesn't even pay off that much. The mass panic.
The only
thing is like a last minute thing. Really.
The only real thing that it stops is that because he causes mass panic, it forces Carmine to have to redistribute all of his men to try to rein in the chaos, which means that McClane again is pretty much on his own.
You could have done that with one of the bad guys, which. Actually, no, wait, that's what happens in the third movie.
That's what Simon did in the third movie.
Simon does in the third movie. He needs all the cops to go in one direction, so he calls the radio and says, "There's a bomb in a school."
Yeah.
So that idea of somebody causing a mass panic, now it's not intentional in the second one, but you think that the way these guys have made such a really good plan, they would have had that contingency of, if things go sideways, we can distract them by just calling and literally say what's happening. That'll cause enough mess for them that we'll get what we need.
I think the reason why people think so fondly of Die Hard with a Vengeance is that in a way
it took the mistakes and kind of did them right. And the villains in the second one are not as memorable as Hans Gruber and Simon.
Yeah, they're nowhere near as charismatic. They're nowhere near as fun, and
they don't have the personality.
Yeah,
no hate.
Again, well, and here's the thing: I know we're ragging on it, but the thing is, we got to get to William Sadler. He is imposing as hell, and he is a force to be reckoned with.
He looks like someone who's going to kill you, and he's great.
Yeah.
I wish he was the main villain.
He's just not as fun. That's the problem.
Yeah,
he's not as fun. Both Hans and Simon are fun villains.
Yeah, they look like they're enjoying themselves a little bit. Like, even when they're not horrific monsters, and they're just doing this for money, they're having a little fun with it. He looks like he's got a job, and he's not even the main villain. He is just kind of the highest level henchman. The colonel that they're trying to pick up is the big villain.
Yeah, Esperanza is
and he's not interesting at all. I don't know who this guy is. They don't even show him.
It's like you cast Franco Nero to play this guy, and while granted, I mean, he does have a bit of charm about him. I do like when they're taking him away for extradition. You see him on the news saying, like, going, yeah, motherfucker.
I wish we could have seen how evil he was. That just would have been more fun. Like, something. William Sadler's awesome. I mean, I will never not see him as Death.
Oh, yeah.
He's always going to be Death.
Though, Breaker and Demon Knight's another good.
No, that's a really good one, too, but I'm just never going to see
We love him as Death. He's great Death.
And he's very intimidating, and he's a great foil physically for McClane.
Technically, he does beat McClane. He does actually beat the shit out of him and kick him off the plane. It literally had not McClane lucked out at that last second.
Yeah, that was pure luck.
Yeah. Though, funny enough, I don't even think burning the fuel really would have... I mean, honestly, they just drained, like, an entire wing of fuel.
They would have crashed.
They would have crashed.
They would have had to crash pretty quick, because, you just lost all your fuel anyway.
And even then, the plane, they'll be able to track the plane and know where it's going.
Yeah, they'd be gone. The big thing was that they create the fire trail so all the other planes could easily land. So that was more the focus than... It was more of a focus of saving these people, not so much let's kick these bad guys' asses.
Which does lead to another thing that is in Die Hard 2's favor. Higher stakes. Absolutely. Considerably higher stakes, whereas the original, pretty much like 40 people You know, like the stakes were like basically 40 hostages.
Yeah, and of all the hostages, two are killed.
Yeah, only 2.
And one of them we really don't miss.
One we really don't miss. In this case, no, thousands of lives are in danger, and I will say
and
this,
a lot get killed too, just as a demonstration.
Yeah, I will say this for Colonel Stewart: what he lacks in charisma, he definitely makes up for in ruthlessness.
Yeah.
When he crashes, and actually a lot of people have said that's like the centerpiece that makes the movie. Like,
yeah, that's terrifying when they change, and it's all because of the computers, and air traffic control can't stop them because they cut off the communications, and he's guiding them in, knowing that 200 people are going to die. 200
people, men, women, children.
Yeah, he didn't give a crap.
Yeah, and there's a great bit where after the crash, McClane's looking through the wreckage and he finds like kids' toys in there, and he's like, and it's a pretty heavy sequence. McClane really does go through the ringer, not just for the race against time to save his wife, but because he's fully aware of what's really at stake here.
Is it as good as the first? Of course not. But I would say for a sequel, it builds the action, the set pieces are bigger, the characters don't change. They don't do things that aren't in character.
Yeah. There's still good humor. I mean, there's actually a lot of good humor there. And yeah, for as unrealistic as a lot of the aspects of it are, it's still fun. It's still an enjoyable movie. I have no problem popping it in if ever I want to do a Die Hard binge for the 3 movies. The 3 movies. There's only 3 movies.
It was a solid early 90s action film, if you're looking for that kind of a style.
Yeah, especially for that kind of style.
Yeah.
And one that compared to those other ones we don't talk about, this one still feels like it's in the same family as the first and the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all 3 have that vein that just works. That you know it's Die Hard.
Yeah, exactly. But there is one burning question. I personally say yay, because much like the first film, Christmas does indeed motivate the reason why John McClane is there to begin with. He is there in Washington on another family get-together in Washington with Holly's family, and so therefore there's a perfect reason why he's at this airport to pick up Holly for their lovely Christmas festivities. And the part of the reason that is going to be a bit of an inhibiting factor, the reason why he's not getting as much support, is because all the security at the airport is all spread thin because of the holiday tourism traffic. Because if you've ever been to an airport around Christmas time, around the holiday time, it is an absolute mess. And they use that as a nice little obstacle to give McClane some difficulty during the span of the story. As much as Christmas saved the day in the first film, Christmas saved McClane's day at the tail end, because as we remember at the beginning of the movie, he got his car repossessed. But the Christmas miracle came in because McClane did good, as one should do on the holidays. Goodness rewarded him in return for Christmas when they tore up the parking ticket, saving McClane from a lot of trouble with his mother-in-law. That is my case.
John, you ignorant slut. No, it's not a Christmas movie. Does it occur during Christmas? Yes. But that doesn't make it a Christmas movie. Christmas has absolutely no bearing on this story. Travel during the holidays happens all the time. The snowstorm had more of an effect on the story than the date of this situation. Hell, I didn't even know it was Christmas Eve, because one guy makes a comment, oh, things are always crazy the week of Christmas. So I don't even know what day it was. It probably wasn't even Christmas Day. And decorations, any ho ho ho, nothing, no. What, in the background when people are running by, that's all you saw? There was no wrapping paper being used, no tape, nothing. He didn't even do any jokes that were Christmassy. There was nothing. If you cut out just the background trees, you wouldn't know it was a Christmas time frame. Oh, and that whole parking ticket crap. Yeah, he did him a solid. He could have been like, you know what? Forget about it. Which actually he probably should have said. That would have been actually funny. But, he still has to go be with his family, so, like, I don't see that being a Christmas miracle, to be honest. Truthfully, I think it should have been a Thanksgiving movie, because everyone knows the travel for Thanksgiving is actually considered worse than the Christmas time, and that would also make sense as to why she maybe was flying in later than he was, because he was there clearly ahead of time, maybe work or whatever, but, yeah, just because a movie occurs during Christmas does not make it a Christmas movie. And this is a perfect example as to when it isn't. Thank you.
And that's the news. Good night, my friends, and have a pleasant tomorrow. Oh, and happy holidays, too.
Happy holidays.
And Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa.
Life Day.
Solstice.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All of it. Just have a great time. All right, on us. Well, not on us. We can barely afford it.